So you're going to place a blanket on the floor. So what we'll be doing is coming to Uttanasana now with our hands on the blocks and our knees are straight to start. And then you can bend your knees and step a leg back. So we'll be in this position. We'll stay here for a bit and work on the relationship of the knee back over the heel, the outer hip moving back to the back leg heel. So this is what we've been doing, okay? We'll take our knee down, we'll untuck our toes, we'll come to an upright position, and here is the tendency. Same thing. So outer hip down to the heel. Do you see how that brings this side of me up? Okay, so we'll be there for a moment. We'll come back down, we'll extend our back leg, and then keeping the weight distributed between the two legs, we're going to take our arms back. So if you remember in light on yoga, so we're just going to take our arms back, but because Iyengar shows coming into Warrior 3, and we're letting our back heel lift right now, but he says to rest the chest on the thigh, or to lay the chest down on the thigh. So that's a position that a lot of us never come to as we're going into the pose, because it's hard. It is, definitely, not just range of motion, but it's a big load. But there's something about we get our torso parallel to the floor, so that when we come up into the asana, we've already established that. So all we have to do is support it, okay, with all the work that we've been doing. So let's see if we can work on just this piece so that when we go to our Warrior 3, we've focused in on this critical place where your chest, this side of the chest, is down on thigh. Okay, so let's come to Uttanasana. Have your feet slightly apart. Bring them right between your blocks. That's it. And then bend your knees slightly. Shift your knees back over your ankles so you keep reminding yourself of that relationship. And step your left leg back. Good. Okay, stretch back through the core of your left heel as if you were pressing into a wall. That's strong work on the left leg. Keep your shoulder blades moving away from your ears. All right, now bring your attention to the right hip because you feel it going out, don't you? Yeah. Okay, so move your outer right hip back towards your left heel. Do you feel how you can do that here? And if you're not sure, widen your right foot a little bit to the right. Now press, but don't move your hand. Press your right knee into your right arm. Now it's working. Okay, so press your right knee into your right arm strongly. You feel that? And that's that relationship. So we want to be able to engage this region without having to press the leg into the arm. Okay, now take your knee down to the floor and come upright. And notice, because now we're more aware of the pelvic region, did your hip swing out to the side? Did this side of the pelvis drop down? Because that's what happened earlier, the very first thing we did. So move your outer right hip, that's it, Leslie, down towards the floor. And notice how the left side of the pelvic floor starts to come up. Do you feel that, right? So now we have more awareness of the relationship of the outer hip to the floor of our pelvis. Now come forward, put your hands on the blocks, and tuck the back toes under and straighten that leg. Okay, now in order to remove our hands from the floor, Carrie, move your knee back. That's it. We have to have that right shin or top of the right knee resisting back so there's weight in the back leg, and then you're going to take your hands away from the floor and stretch your arms back. So you feel your chest on your thigh, your arms moving back, that outer right hip going to the heel, and then keep the outer right hip connected to the heel as you take your hands back to the blocks. Knee down. Good. Rest for a moment. And then we're going to step forward to Uttanasana. How are you going to do that? Right? You press that forward foot down. It seems obvious, and yet we don't. Okay, now bend your knees slightly. Shift the knees back. Take the right leg back. So on our last side, we realized that if we pressed our left knee, so you have to bring your left knee next to your left arm. Now resist your left knee into your arm. And do you feel how that outer buttock engages? And it actually does move towards the heel that's behind you. But unfortunately, in Warrior 3, we don't have an arm. There. Okay. All right, so keep that, you can check to see that your toes are liftable. Yes. Okay, now take your knee to the floor, untuck the toes. Now, as you come up, observe, as you bring yourself upright, how sometimes the muscles across the front of the right groin might be, if they're tight, part of the reason the hip swings to the side. So take your outer hip down towards your heel, down towards the floor, so that the left side of the pelvic floor comes up. And don't you feel a bigger stretch across the groin? Good. So this area needs to release so that the hips can maintain, those muscles can maintain that stability. Now, as you come forward, don't let the outer hip go out. Take your hands back down to the blocks. Tuck the toes of the back foot under and re-extend the leg. Okay, now, once again, engage that outer left knee into the arm so that you connect the outer left hip to the heel, and then make sure that your left shin is resisting back, so when you take your arms back, it feels like you're not adding weight to this equation. So you have to have the weight centered between your two legs, not thrown forward on the forward leg. And then maintain the support of the outer hip as you take your hands to the bricks. Now here's where we got in trouble last time. So as you come forward, this is a big range of motion. So let's just play. So you're climbing some big steep slope here in New Hampshire. Press your outer foot down, press your outer hip down to your heel. Stand on that left leg to bring the right leg up. Stand up on it. It's a big step. Sometimes you have to bring your back foot in. Okay, and then look forward, bring your hands to your hips, inhale and come up. Extend our back leg, and then keeping the weight distributed between the two legs, we're going to take our arms back. So if you remember in light on yoga, so we're just going to take our arms back, but because Iyengar shows coming into Warrior 3, and we're letting our back heel lift right now, but he says to rest the chest on the thigh, or to lay the chest down on the thigh. So that's a position that a lot of us never come to as we're going into the pose, because it's hard. It is, definitely, not just range of motion, but it's a big load. But there's something about, we get our torso parallel to the floor, so that when we come up into the asana, we've already established that. So all we have to do is support it, okay, with all the work that we've been doing.